Boom! Thunder roared as the evil blood flames raged. The entire void was in turmoil, constantly shattering, like a broken land on the verge of collapse. Cough, cough. The Heavenly Emperor stood at the horizon, gazing at the chaotic thunder pool. His expression finally shifted slightly. How grand, how stable the thunder pool realm was. Yet, it had been reduced to such a shattered state by a mere half-demonic god? Anger and killing intent spread from his heart, and then, a silver thunder fan reappeared in his hand as ancient words whispered from his lips. The silver thunder fan stirred, summoning heavenly thunder from the boundless sky. It transformed into a thunder lion imbued with ancient power, roaring fiercely as it pounced toward the still turbulent void. The bloodstone evil sovereign coughed violently, blood pouring from his throat, his coughs causing the surrounding void to collapse instantly. Evil sovereign, be careful. Seeing the overwhelming attack from both sides, the remaining 3 Red King experts could only shout from afar, trying to warn the bloodstone evil sovereign who was at the center of the explosion. Russell, Russell, how can they still worry about others when they can't even protect themselves? Just after the 3 spoke, they sensed a greedy aura weaving through the smoke and energy ripples, sweeping past them. Who is it? The Heavenly Emperor? No, this aura? Dark demon? They turned to face the distorted dark red light sphere before them, their pupils narrowing as fear spread across their faces. Inside the dark red light sphere, there was no longer a human body, only a strange purple gold gourd. Its mouth hung slightly downward, and pure, pristine origin power dripped steadily from it. Each drop of pure energy made the power within the dark red sphere grow subtly stronger. Even now, the 3 could sense that the power fluctuation in the sphere had surpassed the bloodstone evil sovereign, and might even be on par with the Heavenly Emperor himself. Thud! A purple gold beam shot out, transforming into chains that easily dragged the 3 into the gourd, their screams echoing in the air. The dark red sphere then sank back into the explosion's center, using the roaring energy to shield its form, as if undergoing some sort of fusion or transformation. Once this transformation was completed, it could spell the true catastrophe for this realm. This is bad. Pain shot through his body, and the bloodstone evil sovereign, ignoring the dark demon and the other 3, suddenly turned his head. 100-meter-tall thunder lion was descending upon him. As the thunder lion tore through the air, heavenly thunder and the force of rule surged with it, utterly annihilating all evil forces in its path. Roar! The thunder lion, brimming with spirit, knew that even the evil sovereign in his dying state could drag it down with him. Therefore, it roared fiercely from a distance. Its mouth opened slightly, and the energies of the world momentarily calmed. Then, they gathered into its maw, and when it roared, a thunderous black hole surged outward. Within the thunderous black hole, countless heavenly thunder strands wove into a giant celestial net, with the thunder strands acting as unbreakable chains, exuding a deep sense of hatred and suppression toward evil forces. The net pierced through layers of void, attacking the injured evil sovereign. The bloodstone condensed from the origin power was forcibly fused, its black flames and surrounding evil energy dissipating. The evil sovereign was like a helpless child, bound by the massive thunder net. The paralyzing effect of the thunder that reached into his bones and soul made him change color, screaming in agony. Stop wasting your effort. This is the thunder net of heaven. In your dying state, you can't break free. Suddenly, the void in front of the evil sovereign was silently torn open, and a low, thunderous voice rang out. Heavenly Emperor, even if I die, I will not fall into your hands. You coward! You, the deserter of the great thousand worlds. Scum! The bloodstone evil sovereign, trapped in the thunder net, suddenly cracked a twisted smile. He grabbed hold of the thunderous giant net with both hands, disregarding the lethal power of the lightning, attempting to draw closer to the Heavenly Emperor. Pa! A mouthful of evil, poisonous blood was spat out, but it didn't reach the Heavenly Emperor. Instead, It vanished easily on the surface of the thunder net. Seeking death. The normally calm Heavenly Emperor's eyes exploded with a murderous red light, his hands gripping tightly and fiercely toward the evil sovereign's position. Creak, creak. It was the very essence of evil. Despite being heavily wounded, as long as this thing existed, the evil sovereign would, to some extent, remain immortal. Heavenly Thunder Realm. Boom, boom, boom. It seemed as though the evil sovereign had stirred up a violent killing intent within himself. The Heavenly Emperor suddenly stretched out his hand and pointed to the sky above the heavenly pool. A silver thunderous liquid, originating from the peak of the heavens, descended silently, carrying the power of celestial punishment and rules. Zing! With a flash of light, a bolt of lightning, like a flash of divine retribution, fell from the sky, obliterating the blood-red essence in an instant, leaving not even a trace. This is your own doing. Dark Demon, now it's your turn. Having finished all of this, the Heavenly Emperor casually waved his hand, his gaze shifting toward the now chaotic thunder pool below. Heavenly Emperor, as expected, you're still the same? Let me think, back then, you seemed like just a minor figure guarding the edge of the celestial realm's rift. In the first great war of heaven and earth, the great thousand worlds barely won. However, after many powerful beings successfully repelled our extraterritorial army, preparing to retreat back into the great thousand, you were the one who closed the celestial rift on your own accord, causing the deaths of countless beings from the great thousand worlds. The void trembled with a low hum, and within a dark red evil cloud, an obscure truth began to emerge. Blame me? Blame that damned Xiao clan. But thanks to the celestial rift, I devoured all the essences of those fallen powerful beings, strengthening myself. Greed surged within the Heavenly Emperor's eyes as he spoke. Yes, so today, not only am I here to kill you, but also to avenge those heavenly realm experts who died unjustly. As you from the great thousand worlds would say, to punish evil and promote good. Today is your day of death. Ha ha ha. Evil energy began to surge, but at this moment, above the thunder pool, strands of dark energy began to converge. Once gathered, it formed an eerie blood-red demonic cloud. The demonic cloud howled with menace, radiating a dense aura of destruction. If one looked closely, there was a faint demonic pillar standing at the center of the cloud. Upon the demonic pillar were 7 obscure lines, resembling the most mysterious and powerful forces in the world, seemingly bearing numerous cryptic messages. This is the sevenfold tribulation? The sevenfold tribulation? The sevenfold reincarnation stage? As the 7-colored demonic pillar in the sky began to rotate and gather power, a surge of evil energy that even the Heavenly Emperor could not ignore began to flood outward. Impossible! This guy is trying to cross the sevenfold reincarnation stage? The sevenfold reincarnation stage? At this moment, Xiao Yan and the others, hidden in the shadows, exchanged worried glances. Their faces were filled with unprecedented fear, their gazes tightly locked on the demonic cloud in the sky. The sevenfold reincarnation stage, according to Xiao Yan and the others' current understanding, was invincible. Whether among the extraterritorial evil clan or within the great thousand worlds, a sevenfold reincarnation stage expert was always a peak leader. This madman. At this moment, Xiao Yan felt a surge of determination rising within him. If the Heavenly Emperor were to fall, then it would be up to them to deal with this person together. A sevenfold reincarnation stage expert, even with the Devil's Cube, the God-slaying ruler, and other powers to assist him, Xiao Yan's chances of success were still less than 1 in 10. Don't worry. With just a glance, Yun understood Xiao Yan's concern. She gently took his arm, her warm and comforting presence clearly signaling her unwavering stance. This time, it would be a fight to the death. But beside them, Yao Ling narrowed her beautiful eyes, because the object hovering above the dark red light seemed somewhat similar to the immortal artifact ranking 10th in the immortal realm, the gathering immortal treasure gourd. In the sky, the 7-colored demonic pillar began to spin faster, with a surge of vast, evil energy overwhelming the entire world. The dark red light orb slowly ascended beneath the demonic cloud. It seemed that this being was preparing to cross the sevenfold reincarnation stage. The demonic cloud howled past, as though mocking the dark demon's overestimation of itself. Amidst the humming, a sense of apocalyptic despair began to take shape. So you stole my immortal realm's 10th-ranked artifact, the Gathering Immortal Treasure Gourd. Looking at the purple gold gourd hovering above the dark red light orb, the Heavenly Emperor finally let out a sigh of relief. Ever since he became the ruler of the celestial realm, he had been secretly searching for this artifact. Although the Gathering Immortal Treasure Gourd was ranked 10th, at the bottom of the list, it had made a name for itself during the First Great War of Heaven and Earth. The Heavenly Emperor, still a nameless figure back then, had witnessed an extraterritorial powerhouse use it to manipulate a five-fold reincarnation stage expert effortlessly. Stolen? This has always been an item from our extraterritorial realm. Now, let me show you a good show. A mocking, insane laugh echoed from the dark red light orb. You think you can use the lives and essences of the strong from the celestial realm? The Heavenly Emperor's expression was tinged with envy, his gaze constantly shifting between the seven-patterned demon pillar in the sky and the dark red light orb, as if he were hesitating over something. Forget it. Moments later, the Heavenly Emperor subtly shook his head, and a strange power within him flickered and vanished in an instant. Your true strength. Just now, you were merely at the quasi-sixth reincarnation stage, and that power was a false one, artificially accelerated. You must have relied on devouring your own kind to reach it, didn't you? Such a lowly strength is no match for me. You have no chance of victory. The Heavenly Emperor shook his head. Silver heavenly thunder began to gather within him. This time, the density and force of the gathering were unprecedented, even causing the demonic clouds in the sky to tremble in fear. Indeed, you were right. But now it's different. With the combined primal forces of several Red Kings and powerful beings from the extraterritorial evil clan, along with nearly 10 fifth reincarnation stage experts from the immortal realm's core, I can now use my quasi-sixth reincarnation stage power to challenge the 7th reincarnation stage. Heavenly Emperor, this farce should come to an end. Will you surrender to me, or choose destruction? A proud, massive demonic voice echoed from within the dark red light orb, shaking the Heavenly Emperor's body slightly. The 7th reincarnation stage, it truly is a realm that many desire. Unfortunately, with your current strength, you are not capable of facing it. Your power is merely at the quasi-sixth reincarnation stage, and it is unstable at best. It must be a combination of belief power and devouring others' origins. Such ethereal power, and yet you dare covet the power of heaven and earth? A fool's dream. The Heavenly Emperor's vast experience allowed him to spot the flaws immediately. Then let me give you a gift. Dark Demon Realm. As if he had anticipated it, a dark red curse floated out from the orb, covered with the wails of countless souls. It had barely appeared when it shattered like self-igniting flames, and the evil energy it radiated surged, carrying a heavy demonic aura that quickly devoured the surrounding void. The dark red demonic energy was strange, not only emitting a foul stench but also containing a deathly aura. Anyone who came into contact with it would likely vanish into nothingness in an instant. This is bad. The Heavenly Emperor's heart filled with worry. If the dark demon could withstand the 7th heavenly tribulation, then his own end would be inevitable. He immediately tried to strike first, to destroy the dark entity. But as his gaze fell upon the curse, an involuntary sense of dread surged within him. He suddenly shouted, and the power within him erupted, as if fleeing from something. It's too late. Enter now. Glurk. With a sound, the curse exploded like an endless black hole, transforming into countless dark red demonic fluids that swiftly engulfed the entire Thunder Pool world. The dark red demonic energy spread like an indelible stain, covering the entire realm. No living being could escape its grasp, and within this dark world, everything seemed frozen in place. The void closed, and everything fell into stillness. All creatures in the Thunder Pool world were dragged into the dark demon realm, leaving only the dark demon itself quietly preparing for the coming reincarnation demon tribulation. The dark demon realm? I was careless. The heavenly emperor gazed at the dark demon realm and understood clearly that it was the dark demon's unique domain. A sense of unease began to rise in his heart. A true trial, it seemed, was only just beginning. What's going on? Elsewhere, Xiao Yan and his companions, who were hiding in the thunder pool's void, suddenly felt an irresistible pressure from the heavens and earth. They were all dragged into the dark demon realm as well. Giggle. A series of eerie demonic sounds echoed from within the pitch-black realm. As the group arrived, the place instantly fell silent. Here, it seems we can only rely on our own strength. How do we get out? Not sensing any immediate danger, Xiao Yan squinted his eyes. It seemed that in this so-called dark demon realm, there were no apparent threats. But at the same time, there was no way to break through either. The dark demon realm was like a perfect and extreme dark prison, holding prisoners inside, with only endless darkness and unknown fears awaiting them. Here, all power seemed to be sealed, as if suppressed. Even the mightiest experts would likely be reduced to the same level as an ordinary mortal. The dark demon had meticulously set up so many schemes, and it was clear now that he had come well prepared. In the silent dark demon realm, the thick, black, demonic energy moved like dark worms, and with each crawl, the entire space seemed increasingly dangerous. There were no sounds here, nor any energy fluctuations. The evil energy did not even show signs of attacking. It was as if death itself patiently watched over the prisoners in the dark demon realm. This was an ominous land, where the sinister, evil aura intertwined with the scent of death, and the curvature of the desolate silence painted the only hue of this place. Xiao Yan. Soon after, a light, hurried voice rang out from the darkness, tinged with concern and fear, as though something dreadful was imminent. I'm here. Xiao Yan recognized the voice as Yan's, but when he turned around, all he saw was darkness, nothing else. Unable to pinpoint Yan's location, he could only respond aloud in helplessness. This dark demon realm is very strange. We should be in the same void. We can hear each other's voices, but we can't see one another. At the same time, Yuru's voice emerged from the darkness. Seems like all our powers have failed? Xiao Yan nodded, though a vague sense of dread began to rise in his heart. After a moment, faint glows appeared one after another in the darkness, signaling the presence of Xiao Yan and his companions. Any discoveries? None. None. 4 pairs of faintly glowing eyes emerged in the dark demon realm, like isolated stars in the sky. Despite the vast and ancient powers they possessed, none of them could be released. Not even a hint, like they were being suppressed by some unseen force. Whether it was the sacred flame, divine artifacts, the reincarnation seal, or any other powers, all were severed from the dark demon realm's influence, leaving only their primal energy at their disposal. The 4 of them were close together, but they couldn't move past one another. It was as though the space here existed in a different dimension, isolating them, preventing them from reaching each other's bodies. The dark demon must be using this time to cross the 7-fold reincarnation stage. Even though his power is still unstable, once he breaks through, no one in the celestial realm will be safe. We don't have much time. Yuru took the lead, and it seemed that, whether due to inheriting the moon god's legacy or other reasons, her sense of responsibility for the celestial realm had now surpassed Xiao Yan's. Thump, thump, thump. At that very moment, behind Xiao Yan, the dark void subtly shifted, and from within it emerged a demonic hand, covered in countless magic runes. The demonic hand radiated a terrifying force, and faintly, there was an unfamiliar, memory-like power emanating from it. It slowly reached out. Despite its appearance, the hand made no sound, almost like a gentle breeze brushing against Xiao Yan as it approached. The movement was so subtle that, if one didn't observe carefully, it would easily be lost within the dark world. Xiao Yan, be careful. Though they couldn't physically touch him, the 3 women had a clear grasp of Xiao Yan's spatial position. When they saw the eerie demonic hand, they immediately cried out. Boom, boom, boom. Xiao Yan reacted swiftly. The moment the women spoke, he leapt out of the way. In an instant, the demonic hand missed its mark and vanished back into the dark demon realm, leaving the void eerily still again, as though nothing had happened. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yan gasped heavily. If it hadn't been for his body's instincts, for his bloodline's sensitivity to death, and his subconscious evasion, he might not have survived that encounter. The power contained in that seemingly ordinary demonic hand was far beyond what Xiao Yan's current strength could endure. With the danger past, a buzzing sensation that felt like his scalp was about to burst lingered in Xiao Yan's mind. The dark demon realm was too mysterious and strange. Even with Xiao Yan's current strength, he couldn't figure out how to deal with it. With both internal and external pressures mounting, Xiao Yan felt the weight of the situation increasing exponentially. This dark demon realm is an ancient, evil domain. Any life form dragged into it will be assaulted from afar by powerful beings from beyond the domain. Their attacks are lethal to you, but it's also because of this that you have a way to break the curse. You have 10 opportunities. Within these 10 opportunities, the attacks from these evil beings are fleeting. Though their destructive power is immense, they expose a flaw when they strike. If you can't find a way to counter 3 of them, you will be obliterated by the rules. The power of these rules is said to be exclusive to the gods' realms. Even the goddess Yaoji or a saint king descending in person would likely be unable to save you. This dark demon, his origins and the powers he controls, are terrifying. At this moment, the spirit of the god-slaying ruler, who had been silent until now, spoke with an air of awe. There were few beings in the entire great thousand worlds that could make the spirit of the god-slaying ruler speak with such astonishment. Senior, clarify your words. Xiao Yan, overjoyed, tried to ask again. Understand it for yourself. If I reveal more, my essence will be harmed by leaking heavenly secrets. With that, the spirit of the god-slaying ruler fell silent again. He was also curious to see what extraordinary qualities this so-called descendant of the Xiao clan possessed. 10 attacks. Xiao Yan sat quietly in midair, carefully recalling the words spoken by the spirit of the god-slaying ruler. Yun, Yuru, Yaoling, if you notice any unfamiliar objects or strange forces attacking, act immediately. You must intercept or destroy them. In that instant of attack, those things will reveal their flaws. That's our best chance. They must be struck or intercepted, or we will perish here. Xiao Yan paused, his expression serious as he continued. You're leaving your backs exposed to them? Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Yuru and Yun didn't hesitate for a moment. They nodded in agreement, their faces solemn as they scanned the surrounding dark world. But Yao Ling hesitated. Yuru and Yun had an exceptionally close relationship with Xiao Yan, so they naturally trusted him unconditionally. But Yao Ling seemed a little more reluctant. All right. Biting her lip, Yao Ling nodded solemnly, vaguely sensing that her life force, even her internal powers, seemed to be gradually fading away as time passed. Move out. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, everyone focused their attention and began to act, spreading out in all directions, forming a square formation. They focused intently on the empty space behind them, every nerve on edge. The dark demon realm was filled with such mysterious bindings, and the evil forces here lurked menacingly, with no trace of the so-called rules. They had already lost 1 chance out of 10, and an indescribable pressure seemed to crush down on their hearts like a mountain, making it difficult to remain calm. For them, this was a battle with death itself. The dark demon realm was vast, endless in all directions. However, this realm was also the result of the dark demon's sacrifice, using countless efforts to trap Xiao Yan and the others with the dark curse. It was a double-edged sword. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Emperor's place in the dark demon realm, the rules of heaven and earth. But since those few have already entered, my plan must continue. As he spoke, a delicate flower suddenly rose from the palm of the Heavenly Emperor's hand. This flower was no ordinary one. It was strikingly bright, almost blood-red in color, exuding a peculiar aura that seemed capable of ensnaring one's soul. The blood-like power subtly formed complex, incomprehensible runes, carrying a terrifying fluctuation that could shake the heavens. The flower had 3 petals, each wrapped in a layer of invisible, murky energy. Protected by this aura, even the countless evil energies of the dark demon realm could not approach it. Any evil force within 10 meters was immediately devoured and obliterated by the murky energy on the petals, an air of mysterious profundity surrounding it. However, the flower now only had 1 petal left. Silently, the Heavenly Emperor pressed the flower to his chest, and then his gaze swept across the dark demon realm. In this dark and evil world, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That inscrutable smile was like that of an incorrigible prisoner, as if everything were within his control. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, a ripple of energy surged behind the Heavenly Emperor, shaking as it released a terrifying attack. The Finger of 10,000 Demons. It's said to be an evil technique on par with divine celestial-level skills. Why would such an infamous attack from the extraterritorial forces emerge from the void of the dark demon realm? The Heavenly Emperor abruptly turned his head, noticing threads of silver lightning coursing through his skin. Even though he couldn't use other powers here, his body had long been tempered by the heavenly thunder of the celestial realm, making his physical strength far surpass Xiao Yan's. Crack! The black, demonic finger shattered the void, sharp as the scythe of death, and it silently shot toward the Heavenly Emperor's vital points. But the Heavenly Emperor stood tall, unmoving, as though he were a king defying fate itself. This man was actually attempting to resist such an attack with his own physical strength? Bang! 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 The deafening collision sounded like metal striking metal, reverberating with a force that shook the heart. Ah! Ah! Terrifying shrieks filled the air. Yet despite enduring such excruciating torment, a sinister, crazed smile only deepened on the Heavenly Emperor's lips. It seemed as though this was all part of his plan. Yet, the bloodstains on his body were gruesome, each mark more tragic than the last. I see now. As the attack enveloped him, foul-smelling demonic energy began to creep up the Heavenly Emperor's arm, slowly seeping into his body. In that moment, the Heavenly Emperor seemed to perceive a flaw in the dark demon realm's defenses, murmuring to himself. Crack! Above the dazzling brilliance, several different glows suddenly flickered. Cold, blazing, dark, and radiant. Various auras spread out from within. The 6-colored radiance flickered slightly before transforming into a monstrous evil bone dragon, its body extending over 1,000 feet. With a single step, it emerged from the void. Each flicker of light seemed to represent a distinctly different power. These powers were incredibly formidable, with completely different attributes, yet at this moment, they slowly began to merge. A corpse-bone skeleton dragon, this creature is a symbol of status in the extraterritorial realms. In ancient times, it was a 5-fold reincarnation stage evil spirit creature. RIP. 6-colored radiance surrounded a piece of chilling white bone, emanating a dreadful death aura, as it was drawn from the void. The ferocity of this force caused even the Heavenly Emperor's expression to shift with an unexpected sense of joy. It was clear that the Heavenly Emperor had a method to deal with the dark demon realm, but for some internal plans, he chose a near self-destructive approach. Boom! The 6-colored radiance surged and struck the Heavenly Emperor, sending his body flying hundreds of meters away. The light, like flames, scorched his body. Ah! The flame power formed by the 6-colored radiance was terrifyingly sinister. Even a mighty being like the Heavenly Emperor could not resist it. His agonizing scream echoed through the air. Unable to defend himself, the only thing the Heavenly Emperor could do was protect his spirit. Even his skin was covered with a layer of black, evil substance, giving him a rather sinister appearance. The corpse-bone skeleton dragon seemed determined to finish off the Heavenly Emperor. Its body ignited, turning into countless white powders, resembling sand grains, which shot toward the Heavenly Emperor with terrifying speed. Bang! 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 Just as the corpse-bone skeleton dragon prepared to deliver a fatal blow with a self-destructive attack, a bloodied, mangled hand, supported only by a skeletal framework, suddenly reached out from the front and grasped the core of the skeleton dragon. First strike. The Heavenly Emperor's eyes narrowed sharply, his silver irises flashing with incoherent fury. With the Heavenly Emperor's grip, all the evil power within the corpse-bone skeleton dragon instantly dissipated, and the dragon stood still, like a chilling, silent bone figure. Kid, I've endured such torment. I hope you won't disappoint me. The Heavenly Emperor, covered in injuries, looked up at several streaks of light in the distance, where Xiao Yan and his companions were. Break for me. A furious voice suddenly echoed through the dark demon realm, shaking the heavens. Then, 3 strange black shadows trembled, and boundless, endless evil energy surged forth, completely flooding the dark demon realm. Even the evil auras that once inhabited the realm quivered under this overwhelming presence. Suddenly, 3 massive black shadows darted into the uppermost reaches of the dark demon realm. At the same time, the constricting barrier slowly vanished, and a gap in the sky rapidly expanded. Beyond the gap was a new world, Thunder Beast Immortal Sovereign's divine palace. The dark demon realm had been breached. As the dark demon realm shattered quickly, the 5 reappeared in the void within the thunder pool. However, Xiao Yan and the others could clearly see the numerous wounds and bloodstains covering the Heavenly Emperor's body. He was in a truly miserable state. Dark Demon. I'll kill you. With the dark demon realm shattered, the Heavenly Emperor casually glanced at Xiao Yan and the others. He nodded approvingly, his voice thundering like a violent storm. His fury raged for quite a while before he finally gritted his teeth, enduring the bone-deep pain in his body. His cold, sinister gaze flicked over his injuries before looking up at the original thunder pool. The dark, evil aura, like a lingering death, surrounded the Heavenly Emperor, leaving him with an exhausted, near-death appearance and a particularly grim expression. The dark demon realm was breached, but the next challenge lay with the dark demon who had crossed the 7-fold tribulation. The entire thunder pool had now fallen silent. Had the Heavenly Emperor succeeded or failed? With this question in mind, the group released their vast senses, scanning the thunder pool thoroughly. After a moment, Xiao Yan's face showed deep astonishment as he muttered, "There's no trace of the dark demon's aura. Has he already left?" The others exchanged glances, clearly sharing the same thought as Xiao Yan. The dark demon. Had he truly perished under the 7-fold demonic tribulation? Could the dark demon have already left this place? Or has he fallen in the reincarnation demon tribulation? Xiao Yan's voice, as soon as it emerged, shocked the others' hearts. Inside the Thunder Beast Immortal Sovereign's divine palace, the void still trembled. A faint thunderous power and a burning scent were intensely present, but there was no trace or sign of the dark demon. Heavenly Emperor, what's going on? After a brief hesitation, Yao Ling's beautiful eyes fixed on the Heavenly Emperor, seemingly seeking some useful information from his lips. The dark demon led an army to attack the center of the immortal realm. As you can see, the situation? The Heavenly Emperor's expression was extremely grim, clearly having suffered severe injuries in the dark demon realm not long ago. As he spoke, a surge of self-blame welled up in his heart. Xiao Yan did not respond, instead focusing intently on searching for any suspicious aura within the divine Thunder Pool Palace. The immortal realm's central exit had its own formation. If the dark demon had fled, Xiao Yan would certainly sense it. But if he hadn't escaped, where could he be? In that case, let's clean up the battlefield. In addition to the extraterritorial powerhouses attacking here, there are still many extraterritorial armies remaining in the immortal realm. This disaster, fortunately, nothing too unexpected has occurred. Yuru used the power of the Moon God Mark to carefully scan every corner of the Thunder Pool world. Then, her eyes grew weary as she spoke. Earlier, in the Dark Demon realm, the 4 of them had been racing against death. If it hadn't been for the Heavenly Emperor breaking through an attack at the last moment, their fates would have been sealed. Thank you, all 4 of you. I will do my best to search for information on the Dark Demon. The Heavenly Emperor also appeared reluctant, but his severely wounded body clearly couldn't do much more. Crack! Just as everyone relaxed their guard, the Heavenly Emperor lost focus for a moment. A sinister figure tore through the void, its blood-red claws tearing toward the heavily injured Heavenly Emperor. Not good. It was too fast. The scene unfolded so quickly that neither Xiao Yan nor the Heavenly Emperor had time to defend. Crimson blood sprayed from the Heavenly Emperor's chest like a fountain. The blood-red claws instantly slashed open his chest, and then a purple gold gourd bottle was driven directly into his chest. That was the Heavenly Emperor's core. Blood sprayed, and his core shattered. The Heavenly Emperor's pupils contracted tightly before he collapsed weakly onto the Thunder Pool Plaza below. Ha ha ha. Heavenly Emperor, in the end, I win this battle. A manic laugh, accompanied by a wild and violent aura, reverberated from high above the Thunder Pool. This guy, is he still the Dark Demon? Yun and the other two women's eyes were slightly solemn. The figure before them had dark red, evil long hair and blood-stained, lightning-scorched skin. His aura was completely chaotic. He failed the tribulation. This form, it's truly neither human nor ghost. However, his strength, although unstable, has actually reached the true 6th reincarnation stage. Be careful. He's probably become a beast that only knows how to kill. Xiao Yan's expression was complex as he saw through the man's condition. A sense of unprecedented danger surged in his heart. The Heavenly Emperor had fallen, still with a faint breath of life, but even if he recovered, his strength would be drastically reduced due to the damage to his core and the remaining power drained by the Dark Demon's purple gold gourd. And you all. Today, you will all die. Ignoring the Heavenly Emperor, the Dark Demon pulled out the purple gold gourd and crushed it. The silver heavenly thunder absorbed from the Heavenly Emperor's body formed a layer of energy chains that wrapped around the Dark Demon's body. At the same time, layers of green flames flickered beneath his skin like restless evil spirits. This lunatic. That's the Sacred Flame, ranked last on the Sacred Flame list. 36th place. The 10,000 wood origin flame. Watching the green flame flickering in the Dark Demon's eyes, Xiao Yan could clearly feel his own sacred flame and burning technique surging in unison. It was the same origin, the scent of sacred flame. This guy's internal power is a chaotic mess, sacred flame, extraterritorial evil energy, and various forces from the Great Thousand Worlds. What kind of monster is this? Yao Ling was clearly facing such a ruthless opponent for the first time, and an unsettling feeling spread in her heart. The Heavenly Emperor should still have enough strength to protect himself. We must move. He cannot be allowed to get away. The safety of the immortal realm is now in our hands, Xiao Yan said. He stepped forward, surrounded by shimmering glazed flames, and 5 sacred patterns of varying colors emerged from his palm. With a single move, he directly activated the sacred patterns. The Dark Demon, seeing Xiao Yan charging toward him, easily turned around. Blood-colored black holes instantly enveloped Xiao Yan. The immense pressure made Xiao Yan's blood pulse violently, and the feeling of death crept into his heart. A 6th reincarnation stage powerhouse dealing with Xiao Yan now was like crushing an ant underfoot. Xiao Yan, retreat. Yun snorted coldly, and the power of the floral god, combined with sacred flame, surged outward. Moon God Sword Dance. Yu, like a decisive war goddess, drew her Moon God Sword and swung it toward the Dark Demon with a single strike. Swish. Facing the terrifying assault of the two women, the Dark Demon grinned, revealing an endless black abyss, which instantly swallowed them whole. The 3 women exchanged a glance, and immediately, ancient reincarnation fluctuations, reincarnation seals, and even the power of inheritance were simultaneously unlocked. 3 delicate, low hums resonated throughout the world, echoing across the heavens. Several dazzling attacks exploded, and their angry shouts were like thunder, sweeping across the world, causing even the dark demons in the sky to stir slightly. Dark abyss of demons. Devour. The 3 attacks, comparable to those of a powerful being at the 5th reincarnation stage, were unleashed in unison, and the dark demon sneered. A sinister aura surged, forming countless vicious venomous snakes, each carrying an overwhelming and destructive evil energy, and shot out at an incredible speed. Seeing this, the three women's eyes became even more ruthless. There was no sign of retreat. Their bodies surged with power, converging into a magnificent, multicolored halo, tearing through everything as it roared forward. As the three women acted together, the overwhelming attack even made the Heavenly Emperor, standing below, show a slight hint of surprise. So, these two women have inherited the lifelong legacies of Xun'er and the Moon God Palace Master, and the other one possesses one of the divine artifacts, the Yaoqi command. Impressive indeed. A faint voice echoed in his mind. Meanwhile, a mysterious flower petal was subtly retrieved by the Heavenly Emperor. The energy on the petal had nearly withered, clearly having exhausted all its power, fading from existence. A violent clash erupted in the sky, dimming the entire world for a moment. The time-space serrations hummed and vibrated, ripping through the void of the thunder pool, carrying an indescribable sacred power that suddenly pierced into the terrifying dark abyss, which had been spewing out like a vicious beast's maw. Virum. Virum. Within the pitch-black abyss, the multicolored time-space serrations collided fiercely, causing the entire abyss to unleash intense ripples of evil energy. Boom! A deafening crash echoed, and the very void within the thunder pool shattered like crystal fragments, turning into massive thunderwater pools, floating aimlessly in the Thunder Pool Palace. The next moment, the dark abyss could no longer withstand the terrifying combined attack of the three women. In an instant, it collapsed, and countless demonic energies were torn apart and vanished at a frightening speed. As the abyss collapsed, the dark demon reappeared before the three women. Heavenly thunder power. Spirit butterfly power. As the time-space serration, carrying destructive power, fiercely slammed into the dark demon's body, it suddenly roared. Terrifying energy poured from its skin, forming dozens of layers of energy shields around its body. Clang, clang, clang. With each strike, the energy shields crumbled instantly, but no matter how many layers were shattered, the dark demon seemed to have an endless supply of strength. Moreover, after the time-space serration broke through the abyss, its power had noticeably weakened. Crack. With a sound, the dark demon stretched out its arm and crushed the time-space serration. The harsh, screeching sound of breaking resonating loudly. The ultimate strike of the three women was shattered, and the three stood far away with grim expressions, their bodies emitting faint signs of weakness. At this moment, it seemed that the situation was settled. Even with the Moon Ru and Yun wielding their inheritances and internal power, and Yao Ling borrowing the strength of the Yaoqi command divine artifact, their combined power temporarily reached the fifth reincarnation stage, but they still found themselves struggling against the dark demon. If you can't resist, then it's time to go. The dark demon dispelled the surrounding energy and took slow, deliberate steps toward the three women. With every step, the women could clearly feel that death was drawing nearer. Even if the end is near, I don't regret it. This human world paradise is worth protecting. Suddenly, Yu smiled faintly, and at the same time, ancient energy began to burn around her body. A moon wheel quietly appeared, resembling some ancient artifact. Yun and Yao Ling exchanged a glance, gritting their teeth, ready to act, but then saw distant, rising ink-green soul mountains. The soul mountains were illusory, but they contained waves of energy so suffocating that it was almost impossible to bear. Xiao Yan, stop right there. Do you know what you're doing? Seeing the rising ink-green glow from Xiao Yan's body below, Yun's beautiful eyes locked in, and she angrily shouted. Her heart squeezed fiercely, as if a little girl feared losing her most cherished possession. I know. That's why I must do this. Xiao Yan ignored her, gripping a highly complex demonic cube, its energy gradually cracking open, and with the surge of power from within his body, his strength skyrocketed. Gurgle, gurgle. The dark demon stood in the void, unwilling to retreat, like a true ancient demonic god. The power emanating from Xiao Yan was overwhelming, a force never before seen in the great thousand worlds. This made the dark demon, who thrived on devouring the essence of others, exceptionally covetous. Xiao Yan, if you keep going like this, you will die. Seeing Xiao Yan's relentless actions, Yu bit her silver teeth and suppressed the surging power within her, speaking urgently. Xiao Yan, you can't die. You haven't fulfilled your promise to me yet. Yun's beautiful eyes reddened, filled with helpless anguish. Her teacher had fallen, and now, the one she loved was teetering on the brink. For someone like Yun, who had always remained emotionally detached, the clarity of her feelings hit her hard. Realm of Demons. With a casual wave, Demon Xiao Yan unleashed a dense, dark green energy that instantly separated Yun, Yu, the third woman, and the Heavenly Emperor into isolated spaces. Swish, swish. The dark demon faced Xiao Yan from afar, strands of multicolored energy seeping from its body, releasing a terrifyingly immense pressure. It was clear that this so-called demon Xiao Yan had triggered a dangerous ripple in the demon's perception. Demonic power. Demon Xiao Yan roared towards the heavens, his mind void of fear, consumed only by boundless madness. The demonic power within him was unyielding. When faced with stronger opponents, it only amplified the potential of his demonic bloodline. Since mastering this power, Xiao Yan had faced countless crises, but this was the first time he truly understood the essence of a demon. To grow stronger against the strong, indomitable, and eternal. If Xiao Yan could withstand this ordeal, the demonic power within him would fully integrate with his being. Even the backlash of the demonic force would vanish completely. At that point, he would wield the demonic power freely, without fear of repercussions or dependence on the demonic cube's strength. Kai, Kai, Kai. The dark demon raised its grotesque head and spat forth a radiant beam of five-colored light. The white carried extreme cold, the green bore the power of the sacred flame, the silver roared with thunder, the yellow exuded the aura of stone, and the black radiated boundless malice. This five-colored beam, binding all things, instantly caused the void of the thunder pool to tremble violently. Such power was enough to shatter the void into nothingness. Crack! Don't use such petty tricks to fool an ant. Demon Xiao Yan's hand gleamed with dark green demonic light. With a sudden clench of his fist, he swung a punch that shattered the five-colored beam into fragments, leaving not even a trace behind. The remnants of the energy scattered into the thunder pool, causing the world to quake. It seemed as though the entire thunder pool realm within the divine palace could collapse at any moment. Face of good and evil. The dark demon growled lowly and struck again. This time, a sinister, human-like mask formed from malevolent blood energy, hurtling towards Xiao Yan with a ghastly howl. The chilling wails and mournful cries emanating from it were enough to overwhelm anyone with a weaker mind. Boom, boom, boom. The hair behind Demon Xiao Yan suddenly grew wildly, transforming into monstrous entities that devoured the blood mask in an instant. The sky darkened as the entire world seemed to lose its light. The suffocating scene left the three women below exchanging uneasy glances. What kind of power was this? It could resist the attacks of a sixth reincarnation stage powerhouse, while only at the fifth reincarnation stage, and the battle seemed locked in a stalemate. He's being tortured by this so-called demonic power. He can't go on like this. Yun's heart ached as she gazed at Demon Xiao Yan's frenzied state. She understood better than anyone the torment and agony behind such immense power. Stop. If you rush out now, can you win? Yu grabbed Yun's arm, shouting at her. Even if it means perishing together, I don't want him to turn into a monster. Yun shook her head, her voice filled with sorrow. You know, I envy you. At least his heart has you in it. People are never satisfied with what they have. But still... The two women locked eyes, falling silent. The exchange was a profound challenge to their hearts. However, Yun couldn't quell her worry for Xiao Yan's safety. Gritting her teeth, she summoned a strange fiery blossom with an ethereal glow. Xiao Yan, you must win. The fiery flower coiled within the demon realm, shielding the three women. Yun clasped her hands over her chest, quietly praying.